One of the questions I was going to ask you was like, what makes you have such a unique vantage point, and which is like, what makes the difference? Because this is what always fascinates me is you have a franchise brand, right? So you have the system, and let's say in theory, it's a brand that has, over about 100 or so franchisees in the concept, right? So in order to get there, like there has to be people in theory, hopefully, who are, successful in the franchise brand. It always just fascinates me how someone can fail and then other people can succeed. And what's the difference? I mean, outside of, territories, right? And, maybe the geography, like what outside of that, I know you hit on a couple of them, but what do you think really makes the difference? Like, is it a DNA thing? Is it they're wired to be entrepreneurs? What do you see?
I'm going to consider it grit. We call it grit, right? And it's kind of like sports. Sometimes, it can be, athletes that have similar talent and different skill sets that can make them successful. But there are some that just don't pan out the way you think they should. It's the grit, right? Meaning that you're going to have some people that's just going to be tenacious and making sure that they're following the system. They're going the extra mile, right? They're setting goals. And that's another thing, right? Sometimes you just have to be goal oriented because we've seen studies that show that when people have a goal, they are more likely to achieve it versus someone that doesn't actually have a written goal in place. So they're goal focused. They know what they are trying to accomplish and they have a vision. So there's a lot of intangibles that go into it as well, right? Because I know you said the tangible piece of the territory and the system, those things are all there. But the difference is going to be the heart. It's the grit, the commitment to roll up your sleeves and really get into the business, right? And understand how to drive that business going forward. That tends to make the difference between a great owner and a good owner.
I think that's one of my favorite answers that I've ever heard of that, because I'm a true believer in that. You were talking about how you used to play basketball, and I've been an athlete all my life, and there's a certain mindset that comes with athletes, right, where it's kind of hardwired into them. But entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. I mean, it can be. The analogy I use is like having kids, and we were just talking about our kids earlier, and especially at the stage where we are with 1.5 and 4.5. Sometimes, some days it's like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
I've been there. Still
but
hard.
but I wouldn't trade it for the world, and that's what I feel like entrepreneurship is like.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because you can truly embrace the results, right? Because again, with children, they test your patience. You can be very tired and you still have to do things. But when you see your children advance, when they're developing, when they do something that they've never done before, it's all worth it, right? The rest that you're not getting, the commitment you're putting into them, it's all worth it once you see that progress in your children. And to your point, you wouldn't trade it in the world, right? When you're going through it, you would probably wish you had more time to yourself and had more rest, but it all makes sense once you see the progression and the advancement in your children. Same thing with the business, right? Sleepless nights, you're putting in a lot of time, a lot of effort, but when you see your business, thriving, flourishing, hitting your budget numbers, right? Hitting any other marketing goals that you have, it's always going to be worth it.
If you enjoyed this short clip from the podcast, you can check out another short clip right here. Or if you want to watch the full episode of this podcast, you can watch that here. And remember, knowledge is not power. It's applied knowledge that's power. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.